So today I was beginning to read Psalm, and God had just prompted me to go and start reading the very short book of Philemon. And as I was reading Philemon, God was sharing with me some things that I'd like to share with you. And I'm just going to start in Philemon verse 15. And really what the whole story of Philemon is going on is Philemon is a Christian almost pastor of sorts. He's a deacon in the church, and he had a slave named Onesimus. And Onesimus went and found Paul, and Paul had now seen that Onesimus loved Jesus, that he served Jesus, but Paul was now sending Onesimus back to Philemon. So let's go at verse 15. For perhaps he therefore departed for a season, that thou shouldst receive him forever. Not now as a servant, but above a servant, a brother beloved, especially to me, but how much more unto thee, both in the flesh and in the Lord. If thou count me therefore a partner, receive him as myself. Now, I just want to pause there for a second, because I think that this is an interesting text of Scripture. Being a minister or serving in a ministry, whether it's full-time or you're a ministry of helps or a volunteer, that entire idea of being a minister means being a servant, being a slave. However, Paul talks to Philemon on how he's supposed to treat Onesimus, how he's supposed to treat the people serving, how he's supposed to treat the ministers that are under him. Too many times I've seen through Christianity that there have been leaders in the church that treated ministers under them or people who are serving under them or any of those aspects like they were slaves, which meant they treated them under the basis of intimidation and domination, where they used terms of intimidation. They tried to completely dominate the people and said really hurtful things and just tried to put fear into them. When Paul says, that's how you've been treating Onesimus, but now you need to treat him as a brother, which means that there's a different way of leading people. When we lead people as brothers and sisters of Christ, when we lead ministers under us, when we lead people who are serving in ministries under us as brothers and as sisters, when we give them love and support, that's what God has called us to be like, and that's the heart that God has called us to have towards people who are with us. I've heard people say before that, well, being in the ministry, you need to have the same mindset you do as a business. Well, the truth is, Philemon had the mindset of a business, and he was treating Onesimus in the way that the business culture around him told him he should. But we're called to something greater. Paul says even in the scripture, where was it? Now, not as a servant, but above a servant, a brother beloved. We're called to be above that standard. We're called to see people above just a servant or a slave. When we have people that God has given us to be able to shepherd and to help and to support and to lead and to guide, we're called to see them as brothers and as sisters, not as slaves.